Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought the Flyers win 5-2? It's been a long damn time since I was able to talk about the orange and the black. And quite frankly, I have no idea how this season is going to go. I don't know how long they're going to be able to grab conversation for us. But damn it, I have to admit that it was really fun and enjoyable to be at the barn tonight and to hear that type of crowd and to hear the people wanting some hockey. And they worked their asses off. John Tortorella makes his Flyers debut, and we saw a team that, really did show what Tortorella hockey's all about. It was strange to see a team on opening night be without Cam Atkinson, be without Sean Couturier. We know Ryan Ellis wasn't going to play this year, and he got booed when they went through the opening roster, right? I mean, fans are not happy with him. Rasmus Ristolainen not playing. So it's like, in what world with this lineup are we going to see something entertaining? And damn it, it actually was. So I just loved it. Tony DeAngelo gets in a scrum, and the crowd erupts. His helmet falls off. It was insane. Scott Lawton gets beat up, and not actually beat up, but there's a ton of guys getting in Scott Lawton's grill, and the place starts standing up, freaking out. You saw goals being scored. Travis Konecny with 2. Morgan Frost with 2, and I thought it was very important for him because there was a play before he scored his first one, and the puck was right on his stick. He seemed to have a little time and space right in front of the blue paint, sort of in a small area, but the puck jumped over his stick, and it's like, come on, you can't squander those. And realistically, we thought that Morgan Frost was already going to be a way better player than he is, and it's a real big time I have to prove myself style of season for him. I'm like, come on, dude. You got to be stronger on your stick. You can't piss away those opportunities. And then after Lazinski, it starts with JVR on the half wall. They cycle it down low. Lazinski has eyes in the back of his head. He finds Morgan Frost. And by the way, that was ripped, okay? That was a cannon. Finds Twine and shoots back out of the net. That was ridiculous. A lot of these goals were awesome. Travis Konecny, after Ivan Provorov wins a battle along the half wall in the neutral zone to create a rush the other way, Travis Konecny cuts across the middle with a wicked wrister, used the defenseman as a screen, put it past glove side. I know there's skill in Travis Konecny. I don't know if he's been able to be his best self for a little bit of time now, but he's got something in that shot. He could be a goal scorer. And it's the toughness of John Tortorella going to pry that out of him. That power play goal was awesome. They had puck movement. They actually moved the puck and tried to open up the goalie. Right? I mean, you see it going from the left point to the right point. One-touch passing to TK. When you're the netminder, you're moving across the blue paint. So that opens up a chance to put it through. And Travis Konecny with the blistering one. I even love Wade Allison's to tie the game up. You go D to D, put a puck on net, juicy rebound, wide open, bury it. Celebration could do a little work. But I like Wade Allison. Wade Allison is the guy that whenever he's out there, things are happening. Always moving his feet. Seems to always be putting pressure on the defense. He's doing a good job on the forecheck. He's hitting guys, separating the body from the puck. There's one goal I remember throughout the preseason, and I watched too much damn preseason. I will openly admit that. But he separated body from puck on the forecheck along the left wall. This was against the Washington Capitals in a meaningless game, but just shows you the value of what he can do. From there, the Flyers hopped on a 2-on-1. And Kevin Hayes buried it. Things happen when you get up on your toes and you make it happen. You force players to turn the puck over. You force those good odd man rushes. Just like I mentioned. Ivan Provorov, without him pinching in the neutral zone, you don't have that Travis Konecny goal. All those details matter so damn much, just as much as the finish does. I'm sure Carter Hart would like to have that first goal back, but he was sensational afterwards. The third period, a lot of block shots. Ivan Provorov had a big one. I thought him and Tony DeAngelo had a real good day at the office for their first game together. Is it going to hold up when you play better teams with better talent and better top six forwards that could generate a lot more? Probably will have tougher days at the office. But for this to be their first game and this is how they showed, all right. I don't know how long this is going to last. I'm just embracing it for what it is. It was a fun day today. It was fun. I honestly forgot what that was what that feels like and what that looks like. Because the last time it was similar was when Claude Giroux had his last game in Philadelphia. And I'm not telling you there's not a lot of angst in the fan base right now because there's 1,000% is. But at that time, it was even worse because you were in the thick of it. The John Tortorella factor, I think, has everybody excited. Even though they need significantly more talent, and he even knows that. We asked him, as he joins us every Wednesday on the best show ever, how you going to score goals? I have no idea. Who's your top six? I have no idea. Now, this was 1 week ago, but he's like, it's going to be gritty. These are going to be hard-fought battles. Now, ironically enough, he said we're not going to win a lot of 5-2 games. We're probably going to have to win these greasy one-goal games, and TK is putting on a show with his skill set, and Morgan Frost showed a lot. But it is a lot of reality to what he's saying, which is, it's going to be hard. They also lost Owen Tippett. I don't know if I mentioned that in the beginning when I was going over who they didn't have for the first game. He seems to be a kid that gets a billion chances, but has a tough time finishing. He's always around the post. It's always hitting the post. It's always hitting the pipe. It's almost, so close every time. But John Tortorella did not have an update about him after the game was over. Look, I mean, there's so much happening here. Travis Sanheim signed an 8-year, $6.25 million AAV contract. To me, now's not the time to do this. I think Travis Sanheim is a fine player, but it's right now the moments where you should be connecting with the player for 8 years. So what's that? Until he's 34 years old? How old is Travis Sanheim? I think he's a okay player. I think he's a player that's fine in this league. But do I have to be committed to him for this long, especially with the current state of your franchise? I don't know if it's necessarily worth it. He's 26, so that would put him until he's 34 years old. Do I need Sanheim until he's 34? I keep hearing this argument all the time. Well, because you brought in Tony and because you signed HOTLINE, you kind of have to buy into this. No, you don't. No, you don't. Just because you make other moves, if those other moves are not the greatest, and I think the Tony move is whatever. HOTLINE I have more fear of. You're not tied to Tony DeAngelo for a billion years. But just because you make other moves, if they're wrong, hypothetically, why do you have to buy into this? Oh, let's just keep making dumb decisions and dumb decisions and dumb decisions. I don't think Travis Sanheim stinks. I think by now he'd be better than where he is. But I think he's an okay, he's a 3-4 defenseman, maybe a 5 defenseman if you have a stronger unit. He could play in this league. He could play every night in this league. It's just hard to sell me a signing right now. It is. Chuck Fletcher, he doesn't even call the shots anymore. His job is going to be over pretty damn soon, and John Tortorella runs the show. And he probably should run the show right now. But in what world is an organization running smoothly when the GM has no say and the coach has him by the balls? Not many. Not many at all. Carter Hart, no preseason. Don't forget about that. So this is all just getting thrown into the fire. Had a squeaker early, responded pretty well. Hughes was cut into the net, and he went post to post nice, kept his pad along the far post, and it was a big save. He got beat short side there for that second goal. There was also a block shot, which made the puck bounce a weird way, and then kind of was able to put it over his shoulder. just something we're always looking at with Carter Hart at this point is his glove side, just knowing the conversation about him and some of the flaws we've seen where other teams have pointed it out and made it clear that we are going to keep attacking you and attacking you and attacking you there. It's not anything I'm hitting the panic button on at this moment, because I think at the end of the day, he did a magnificent job, and a lot stood out to me in a positive light than the negative, especially knowing that he didn't get a lot of shots and take a lot of pucks to the chest and to the pads and to the blocker and all that throughout the preseason. So it really is, hey, here's your NHL debut for the season. Here's your season debut is a better way to phrase it. Good luck. You know? Not the easiest thing to do in the world. But I got some text messages on the Anytime Hotline, so we'll go to the text board. Just to summarize real quickly, with this team, I'm devastated with who they've become. I think Tortorella is a fiery guy that they're going to respond to for a little bit of time, but eventually that adrenaline rush may evaporate and come back to reality, which is what your team is. And at the roster standpoint, you're screwed with a lack of talent. Cam Atkinson, fine goal scorer. Their first line isn't really a first line, or their first line talent isn't really first line talent. They may be top 6 forwards, but true teams, you have a whole nother level to your first line. For example, I think Cam Atkinson can play top 6 minutes and be a second line winger if your other 5 forwards are really, really good, and you have some phenomenal centers, and you can plug and play with some wingers alongside them, and he can score 30 plus goals if surrounded by some awesome talent, if not even more. But overall, I've seen great teams in this league, and it would be stunning. They keep saying they're proving people wrong. Travis Konecny, the Flyers social media page, said it's time to go out there and prove everyone wrong. What was the actual phrase? It was something like, now it's time to go do it after talking. Something like that. I don't know. Let's see what it was. Done talking about it. Time to prove it. Hashtag fueled by Philly. All right. Okay. It's weird because it's been so long of me talking about them, I'm just letting you know how annoyed and how bothered I am with basically everything from their operations from top to bottom. Yet I had a lot of entertainment value when I was there, and I forgot what that felt like. So it's a mix of emotions. It's going to be a tough, brutal season for us. That's inevitable. So I'm also trying to appreciate, I need to stress that, but also want to appreciate what I can, because I don't think it's going to last very long. All right, so anyway, text messages. Ross wants to know, was this something you envisioned Travis Konecny doing? Scoring 2 goals on opening night? No, definitely not. He continues, he has talent to score, but it always felt off with him. I believe Torts is going to push him past what he himself thinks his personal limit is. Sometimes coaches do that. They dig so deep, they push you so hard, they force you at training camp to skate so hard where you think you would have died and collapsed when skating those suicides, when you're constantly going with no pucks at all. First days of training camp, you're going deep and your mind is spinning and it's racing and you think you're going to fail and you think you can't handle it, but he keeps pushing you and you go, hold on a second, I didn't know this was in me. Because there's no way that Torts watches Travis Konecny and doesn't see something special in him, because he does have the ability to score a lot of goals. And with the way that he plays with yapping, being annoying, being a pest, getting in your face, there's value in that. Hell, the coach is praising Delorier, turning it around for the team and giving them some life by just banging some bodies. He kept a defenseman for fighting in the preseason, which I do have a problem with, considering you signed Nick Delorier to be that guy, so I don't need a young dude showing you anything in a preseason game when he shouldn't have fought someone who can fight. No, don't give me that nonsense. But John Tortorella loves that stuff. So you know that because TK has it, he wants it all. He wants the whole package. And when TK gets that out of him, it's because he's succeeding and scoring and producing offensively. He doesn't yap as much because he's so focused on trying to get back to his game. But when he's shining, the yapping comes naturally. And yeah, to answer your question, Ross, as I'm kind of rambling and going in a different direction, I guess, with TK. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. No, I didn't think he'd score 2 goals on opening night and then show off the wicked wrister that way and score a power play goal. Come on, 5-on-4 power play with the puck moving? Do you remember how putrid, as much as I love G, but between him and Voracek and them trying to feed that seam that constantly would get pick off in the high slot and then the other team would just dump it down? They couldn't do anything. Looking around, stick handling, up to the top of the blue, walk, send it back to the half wall. I mean, they had no looks and they never generated anything. Here I'm watching sort of like, it was a little different because it was higher. But when you run an overload and you have 2 guys below the goal line and you have the one guy in the slot and you kind of work it where that guy in the slot moves around and you could do a little pop play. Almost to a degree in basketball, a pick and pop between a big man and a point guard, and instead of rolling to the basket off the pick, you pop and you find him in that soft area. That happens in an overload, but sometimes it's closer to the net. This was somewhat higher, almost by the top of the circle. It's the top of, not the face-off dot, but a little bit more in the slot area, but off to the top of, the circle there. Designed to get the goalie moving? I'm sorry. I'm just stunned. That's all. I'm just stunned. Shiloh, or is it pronounced Shiloh? I don't know. Is that a nickname? Is that a real name? I kind of like it. But anyway, Carter Hart stood on his head. Too many of my friends thinks that he's a bust. Always hurt, not playing in the preseason, yet he was really good when the Devils were pressing in the third. Do you have faith in him, Broads? Yeah, I do. I mean, I think he's a good goalie. I just always date back to, there's a reason why everyone always said early on, you don't bring up a goalie when he's that young. Now, he has a lot of experience for his age, and maybe he benefited from that, but it's hard to make that argument considering what type of defense was in front of him and just the terrible, terrible, terrible games that they went through. Alain Vigneault fired and this, that. I mean, it was brutal. There's no sugarcoating it. It was a nightmare, and I don't know how much experience you gain when you're going through seasons where guys are left open, wide open in the high slot, or guys are left open, wide open back door, and you're getting left out to dry a lot more than that plays in your confidence. And then you start questioning yourself, and then you start not making the saves that you're accustomed to because maybe you're worried about your centerman not picking up their winger down low, and things just get out of control on you big time. His skill is there, and I've said that about how many guys now at this point, which maybe that tells you that there's a common theme, although goalie is a lot different than your forwards or your defensemen. I think there's potential in Samheim. I don't know if he's ever going to reach it, but I think there is potential there. There's potential in Travis Konecny. There's potential in Morgan Frost. There's potential in a lot. I think Lazinski showed out to me. I thought I saw something in him that I didn't necessarily expect to. But there's potential in Wade Allison. There's potential in Owen Tippett, which might make it for an exciting season that they're letting the young kids play, and we can learn a bit more about them instead of veterans that we sort of have the answer to and isn't a part of the long-term process and the long-term idea. I believe in Carter Hart. The ones that you got to have, they're always in there with him, but at the same time, I don't know what goalies are just perfect. He's not Carey Price. He's not one of the greatest to ever do it. But I think he's a very strong goalie to have, and your organization is in a great position if he's in between the pipes. And I think a lot of the issues over the years stemmed from the team collapsing, the locker room not believing in one another, the organization being one of the worst I've ever seen. So, yes, I still believe in him. All right, this is the last one we'll take here. Mark says, that's what Tortorella hockey is, baby. Might not be the most skilled, but those kids are going to be working for 60 minutes. I was there tonight, and it reminded me of the great times. Glad you had fun too, bro. Yeah, I tweeted that out, that with all jokes aside, that was something that was electric, and the fans made it fun. And I'm just kind of stunned by that, because I knew I saw that a lot of tickets were sold and it was going to be a packed barn. And we know that there's a ton of emotion and passion for the Flyers through this Flyers cult that they have, even though a lot of them are pissed off. So for opening night, there would be a showing, and it definitely would be loud. But because of the way the boys played, as soon as Travis Konecny scores and then Morgan Frost scores right after, and it's just one big loud rush of screaming and yelling and the song being played and the horn being played. Hockey's back. Hockey's back. Let's see how long they hold everybody for until they end up switching the channel. That is what Tortorella hockey is going to look like. There was a part of me that said, okay, screw it. Screw what the lines are. Owen Tippett's out in the middle of the game. You got to adjust. You got to try different things. You throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks. It was less about who and what and scheme and this and that. Let's have the eye test, because there's so much toxic energy surrounding them. Is it the day to nitpick, or is it the day to see the smell test, to smell the smell test? To just feel what the presence looks like. Just watch. Get a grasp that way. Is the forecheck heavy? Less about what the forecheck's doing, and, so we'll get to that, trust me. How they're angling people off. How many guys are going in? How aggressive are they? What do their special teams look like? And I saw a bit of their power play organically. And, of course, I saw Scott Lawton cross-check from behind, which put him in the box. And they had to deal with some PKs. And I've seen it all, and it just happens organically as you watch. But it's more about how heavy does it look? Are they creating turnovers? Are they getting up ice? How tight is their gap? What's the overall look like? Once we get a couple games under our belt, then we'll start diving a bit deeper on it all. The morale is so low, we got to start from the bottom. It's a weird season for us all as Flyers fans. I don't know what this season's going to look like, but I just hope they make it where we can actually talk about them, because I do miss that. All right, everyone. Thank you all so much. Game 1 in the books. See how game 2 goes. Thank you all so much. I'll catch you on the next one.